Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hasan Ihsani. I'm from English Education Department, Teachers Training and Education Faculty, Pekalongan University. For my article, it is entitled Authoritarian Teachers Reflected in Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life. For the introductions, authoritarian teachings in its practice gives teachers complete control of the classroom and puts students as a passive learner. Based on Walker, he stated that authoritarian teachers is very demanding and unresponsive for students' needs, while the needs of students is related with the theory of hierarchy of needs from Abraham Maslow. Based on Malick, he stated that the term of self-actualization itself is a part of Maslow's theory that is called hierarchy of needs, which this theory groups the human basic needs into 5. And the depictions of authoritarian teacher is reflected in the character of a movie entitled The Tree of Life that is directed by Terrence Malick. Meanwhile, hierarchy of needs means that the basic needs of human is divided into 5. In the first is physiological needs. Physiological needs means the needs of human from water, food, clothes, or houses. And then in the safety needs, it means the needs of human and the security for their preventing from harm, from any violence. And in love needs, it means that humans' needs of belongingness to their parents, to any relationships for other, like friendships or something like that. And then in esteem needs, it means the need that humans needs of any respect, that they needs of respect, they need any appreciations and others. And self-actualization means the peaks of hierarchy of needs. It means people are already able to expressing themselves, already understand about what are they capable for. And in the research method, my research is using descriptive and qualitative for the method, and then the object of the study is a movie entitled The Tree of Life. Meanwhile, the data is in the form of screenshots and dialogue of any scene sourced from the movie. The data is collected using documentations and is analyzed using interactive data analysis technique from Miles and Haberman. In finding and discussions, the first is the act of authoritarian teachings from the father. The first is high demandingness, which means the film shows that the act of Mr. O'Brien, father of the main character, Jack O'Brien, that demand his children to be someone he wished them to be. But he often make their children uncomfortable about their father behavior, that often controlling them. The depictions of these cases can be seen on the scene that Mr. O'Brien talked about his grief and his guilty toward his son that has passed away. The monologue show that Mr. O'Brien has ever criticized his son about a simple thing, that is the way his son turned a page, which in the dialogue, Mr. O'Brien said, he was sitting next to me at the piano and I criticized how he would turn the pages. Moreover, according to the monologues, Mr. O'Brien is realized about his behavior that full of criticisms, and it also makes his conditions becoming more sad and full of regrets. The second depictions can be seen on the scene in the dinner that Jack is asking for butter to his father, but Mr. O'Brien criticizes the sentence of Jack's asking instead of giving the butter anyway, and followed by a annoyed face. In the dialogue, Jack said, "Will you pass the butter, please?" And then Mr. O'Brien replied, "Can you pass the butter, please, sir?" Jack replied again, "Sir." The actions is considered as an act of authoritarian teachings according to the actions of Mr. O'Brien that demands how his son is asking to him in a certain way as he likes, and it also shows Mr. O'Brien's gesture from his face that looks annoyed caused by listening to his son's asking. And then the second subchapter for the act of authoritarian teachings from the father is unresponsive on students' need. The film shows that the father character, Mr. O'Brien, have a tendency of not responsible toward his actions to his children, that it makes the children, especially Jack O'Brien, become to hate his father figure. The depictions can be seen in the dinner scenes after an argumentations about Jack asked his father for butter. Jack's mother, Mrs. O'Brien, is bringing them together by telling his husband that Jack's book report gets appreciations from his teacher. But Mr. O'Brien acts unexpectedly that he shows his failure instead of showing an expression of pride about his son's achievement. This is considered as an act of authoritarian since Mr. O'Brien doesn't support his children's achievement. The second finding is the bad impact caused by authoritarian teaching from the father. The first is safety needs. The lack of this need can impact the children's behavior that can make them afraid with others and can even make them to be afraid to give opinion. It can also make children to feel unsafe to do something. The depictions is shown at how Mr. O'Brien handled Ariel's critic with anger and scared everyone in the room. In short, all of these depictions is considered as an act of authoritarian by ignoring the needs of safety that the scenes mostly show the uncontrollably emotions or anger from Mr. O'Brien toward his children's critic and behavior. Then the next is love needs. Lacking of love needs can make someone in confusion or feel disconcerted, and it will affect their emotions. This matter could impact on the children that can make him to question their belongingness on his own father. The depictions can be seen on the scene that shows that Mr. O'Brien doesn't show that he is showing his love to Jack by his order to Jack to crop the grass on the yard. It is shown that Mr. O'Brien clearly doesn't give any care to Jack's conditions, that all his pants is becoming dirty, and doesn't even ask anything about him but only asks about the work that Jack have done. If Mr. O'Brien loved or cared toward his children, he should have helped Jack to do the work, so the relations between father and children will be built well by giving a care and love toward each other. And it also proves that the ignorance behavior from Mr. O'Brien is considered as an act of authoritarian by ignoring the needs of love. And then the last is esteem need. The lack of esteem needs can make children to be someone who is less in confidence, feeling weak and low motivations. Since it could decrease children's motivations to learn, so it will also impact on children's school performance. The scene is depicted in the scenes that shows Mr. O'Brien ignored Jack's achievement in the school, which means that Mr. O'Brien is ignoring the fact that Jack needs an appreciation about his achievement from him, not only from his mother, and it is reflected in Jack's face that seems melancholy. Also, this matter makes Jack to feel that he is not special in the view of his father. Even his performance in school cannot make his father proud. So it clearly shows that Mr. O'Brien doesn't fulfill Jack's need of appreciation or esteem need, and it could decrease his children's motivations to learn, and it will impact on his school performance. For conclusions, based on the research finding and discussions, it can be concluded that the Tree of Life movie is reflecting how is the act of authoritarian teaching style shown through the character of Mr. O'Brien with all his controlling behaviors, high demandingness to his children, and ignoring and unresponsive on his children's need. Mr. O'Brien's authoritarian acts ignore his children's needs mostly on their safety needs, love needs, and esteem needs. This matter can lead into a bad impact for children and can disturb their experience of learning that will also affect their learning output. The suggestions from this study is, according to the study results, to prevent any teacher or parents becoming an authoritarian is by giving them a knowledge about the disadvantages of authoritarian teachings. Teachers or parents should be paying more attention at the needs of students or children that need to be fulfilled. Everyone, including students or children, should be aware of any authoritarian act in their surrounding that they must not do the same, as it can bring bad impacts to others. I think that's all from me. I'm Hasan Ihsani. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.